we've talked a lot about stupidity on social media. Mally, you make a living on social media. You see people doing dumb things all the time.
I do.
Uh, we and specifically, you see all these stupid Westerners, all these damn idiots going over to Japan and doing really dumb things doing Western things, trying to be idiots on on social media in very docile settings. Blabs, you were actually in Japan recently,
I
and
was.
did you see any of this insanity while you were there? People
Yeah,
busting out their
honestly,
phones and
the
stuff.
worst stuff I would see were people taking pictures of things that they shouldn't be taking pictures of when there's clearly signs and people saying, do not take photos. Like, you're not supposed to take pictures of the gods, but they do it anyway. You're not supposed to walk in the middle of the torii gates, but people do it anyway, and that's reserved only for the gods. You're supposed to walk in on the sides, and before you walk in, you're actually supposed to bow, and some people just don't do that, and they just disregard. And on the one side, they may not know, but they should research this stuff before going so they don't ruin people's cultures. And then a lot of the times I would see like really loud and obnoxious foreigners on the subway stations, and they would just be super loud, and like even other foreigners would be giving them dirty looks, cough cough me, giving them the stink eye and everything, and they would just not care. They'd be super loud, obnoxious, rowdy. And yeah, when you go on Japanese subway stations, it's very quiet, super quiet. Everyone minds their own business. Everyone's got their headphones in. No one's talking. It's very, very, very quiet, like a library.
Wait. So you're telling me that there's not super fun things happening? Like this type of thing doesn't happen on.
Yeah, that should not be happening at
Just-
all. Look, like some of them are laughing because they're like, "What the incarnation is this?" But yeah, no, most of them are uncomfortable. Look at her; she's
Look at this
totally
poor
uncomfortable.
girl.
Yeah, she
this-
looks so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! And he's over here just trying to be a dummy, trying to a nuisance. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, this has gotten to a point where they started putting up signs. That says,
Yes, they're
when visiting,
actually banning people from
Yeah.
certain
Good.
areas. There's areas in Kyoto, Japan, where are now banned from tourists because they're ruining stuff or they're taking pictures and causing traffic. I mean, there are actually cases of people chasing after geishas and trying to take their photos. Now, if you don't know, you're not supposed to take pictures of them, but they try to do it anyway, and they're harassing these women. So, yeah.
Well, the idea that you have to make a sign that says Japan is not a theme park,
Exactly.
and the idea that shrines and temples are not social media backgrounds, and torii gates are not fitness appliances, and they're not performance stages, and pagodas are not climbing walls. What the fuck? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. And there's more to this also. So I don't know if you know this, but in Japan, the shutter button on people's phones cannot be silenced and muted. So like men would try to take pictures of girls' skirts because they're in school uniform,
Oh,
and so
really?
you would be caught because you would hear the shutter sound. But like foreigners, well, their phones are muted because in America and all that, like, right, you can mute the shutter button and stuff like that. So that stuff also happens where there's creeps taking pictures of like girls and women in skirts or trying to get up there and stuff on subways. Yeah.
That's so disgusting.
Yes.
Have you been to Japan before, Mally?
No.
Will you make a promise when you do actually make your way over to Japan? Will you promise me something?
Not preemptively. You got to tell me first.
Okay. Will you promise me not to treat the torii gates as fitness appliances?
That I can promise. That
Okay.
I can promise.
And not to climb up the walls of the pagodas over there?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Even though I do social media for a living, guys, I think I can contain myself in Japan. I think, I mean, I don't know. It seems a lot like Disney, so I'm tempted to treat it like a theme park, but I think I'll contain myself.
Yeah. And like there's plenty of things people can do that you can do social media with in Japan. It's just, I don't know, they don't have any respect, these foreigners. And it was very obvious, like in Japan, that a lot of the foreigners were just like, this is my turn to shine and everything. And it's like, sit down, shut up. But it's fine.
So, anyways, don't be fucking stupid when you go to somebody
Yes.
else's country. How's that? Let's just
Facts.
the fact that needs to be said in 2024.
Yeah.
Social media has made a lot of people really dumb.
It
And like
really-
they do not like a lot of Americans in Japan. I'll give you a great story. So when I went to Japan, I was with myself, American. I had a Canadian with me, a Mexican, an Australian, and a Japanese with us. So like we were literally all over the world together in Japan. And when the bartender was like, "So where are you from?" and I was like, "Oh, America," and he was like, "Oh," and then he asked like the person next to me, he's like, "Where are you from?" and he was like, "Australia." I was like, "Yeah, rock on, man," and everything. And I was like, "Ah, man, yeah, they do not really care for the Americans."
No, that's
Yeah.
fair. We make a bad reputation for
Yep.
ourselves. I mean, like you were just saying, all of these people going over there, and I'm sure not every single one of them is an American, but I'm sure that it's a majority.
A lot of them, yeah,
You
a
know,
lot
a
of them
majority
have.
of them going over there with this stupid entitled mentality. Like, oh, I'm so oppressed with my everything that I have in life, my iPhone and my Nike shoes. Instead, I'm going to travel to a different part of the world and disrespect everything about their culture. But then I'm going to come back to my country and scream about cultural appropriation and disrespect. Okay, double standard is real.
Yeah, a lot of the Americans have ruined it for the rest of us.
Yeah. No surprise.